Hi, I'm Jeff Cohn, founder of Elite Real Estate Systems, today's team coaching solution. We're excited to invite you to our 2023 Team Building Summit, powered by Elite Real Estate Systems and our industry partners. Join us in downtown Omaha, Nebraska from May 31st to June 2nd, 2023, and hear from high-level team leaders, broker owners, industry experts, and thought leaders from across the country. Learn from their business methodologies that made them dominant powerhouses. Learn more about this content-filled two-day event at theteambuildingsummit.com. See you in May.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Team Building Podcast. My name is Andy Cuny. If you don't remember who I am, I have been with Jeff for about 12 years. I was the success manager with him for his real estate team all the way back in 2012, 2013, and then ended up becoming his team success manager all the way up to now I'm an owner and one of the lead coaches for Elite Real Estate Systems. And with me today is the star of the show, which is Dave Friedman. How are you, Dave?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited. Okay, so I read your bio and I will say this. You have one of the longest bios of any guest that I have got to interview, which is I was like, it keeps going. He's done more. I always felt like the infomercial, but wait, there's more, right? And so I kept going on it. So what I would love to do is I know that when I'm listening to these podcasts, and I try and listen to new podcasts all the time, I'm always trying to consume more and more and more, is I always want to know who I'm speaking to so that I can start to relate and filter out the information they're giving me. So could you start out and tell us just a little bit about like where you're from? I know you're in Charleston, but there's not just Charleston. It's like the Tri-County area, all that kind of stuff. What your numbers look like, what your average price point is, how many agents do you have? What's the organization of your team look like? So people can start to think, oh, I don't do that. How can I do that? Or I do that. Why is he doing it better? Those types of things. So just kind of give us a little bit of an introduction to you and what your business looks like.
Sure. Yeah. Dave Friedman, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm originally from the Detroit area. Moved here in 2008 and started a team in 2014.
Okay.
And what it looks like now is this year we're on pace to do about 450, 500 transactions.
Nice.
We have about 20 realtors on the team.
Okay.
And we also have a inside sales team. They convert all of our new leads into appointments for the agents. Agents go on those appointments, and then once they're under contract, we have a listing and closing coordination team that helps deliver on like the client experience that are after. And yeah, that's mostly how we're set up.
Okay, so let me dive into those because I want some answers to those questions, because that one answer can be right. It can be done a bunch of different ways. So I want to get into the nitty gritty. And people are like, that was really quick. What, right? Like, how is he really doing it? So if I heard you right, you guys are going to do about 400 to 450 transactions, which is a lot. Tell me this. How many of those are you still in production?
No.
Oh, even better. I love this. Okay. How long since you've been in production?
I got out of production pretty quickly. We started a team in 2014, and 2016, I exited production. Okay. Went back in briefly in 2017 and then back out again. So.
Okay. And you know what? That's not too uncommon, right? Because you usually take your biggest hit that 1 year where you're like, okay, I'm out. Right. And then you're like, I'll go back in a little bit because it's a really high, it's the high use of your time. Income producing activity is $1 per hour. And so you go back in just while you kind of fix a few things. But so you've been out 6 years.
It was actually a little different. It was, we had somebody great to take it over for me. And then he decided to move a few states away. So I didn't have two people in the role. So it came back to me.
Gotcha. So okay. That makes sense.
So then hired two people. So that way I had a backup just in case that happened.
Oh, you had somebody cross-trained. I love it. Okay. So then the next thing is you guys you're doing about 400 to 450. All 20 of your agents are going to do that. Now I'm sure it's not straight across the board, but if you have 20 agents, that's averaging them out to each doing over 20 units. That's really good per agent productivity for a team that size.
And about a third of them are fairly new. And so they haven't ramped up their production. And so we're on pace to do about 450, 500 with, there's 13 that are in full swing right now.
Got it.
And So we have about a third of the team that's currently building, ramping up their pipeline to be able to be at, two, 3 deals a month.
Okay. So what is the most transactions that what does your top agent do that's on your team currently?
We used to be a lot more listing heavy. I prefer to be that way. But when we were a lot more listing heavy, like 120, 130.
Okay. So you have one agent that's doing 120 or 130. Now, how do you keep, everybody's like, how do you keep that agent in your world now? Right, Dave? Why is that agent left and gone and start their own team or decided to bail? Like, how are you keeping that talented person around?
Yeah, I think at that kind of volume, it takes a special person to be able to do that,
right,
and take the time and the sacrifice that it takes to like have that kind of volume. And I think there's high churn. You have higher churn when somebody's doing that kind of volume, So, we've had people get burnt out from that position and go into other positions, leadership roles, like recruiting roles, sales leader roles. And we had one that like just left, moved to a different state, and started his own team. So yeah, it takes a special person that wants to do that much volume. And quite honestly, I don't know that I thought it was really cool at the time. And that's kind of what I wanted everybody to be doing.
Right.
And that's not really how I think about it anymore. I don't like, I think that's changed? Wonderful. Yeah, I think so if you have somebody doing that many transactions and they get burnt out or they don't like it anymore, or it just so much falls on one person or they decide to leave, right? You have to backfill that. And so it becomes, it becomes a little bit more challenging versus if you had 5 people doing that production, right. If one were to decide to go do something else, then it easily gets smoothed out between the other 4 and, everyone's happy. So I think it can create some like stressful situations when you have a producer like that, that's doing maybe like 25%, 30% of the overall volume.
That can be a tough situation to be in if 25% of your volume wants to discuss commission splits or discuss moving out on their own. All of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, right? It's hard to have a real conversation then instead of a conversation that is born out of scarcity. Right. It's you got to have that conversation born out of abundance. And that's tough to do with someone who is, 20 to 25% of your volume.
Yeah. And if they hit a slump, which people do from time to time, and you don't have, others to like redistribute that lead flow to, that appointment flow to, and you're just relying on, 1 or 2 people in that role, it's harder to like slow them down. Because you also don't have several other people to smooth it out over.
Right.
Whereas now, we have some agents that do, 60, 70 deals, and we have a bunch that do 20 to 30. Just all depends on what they're looking for. But it's easier when you have a lot more people if somebody's getting way ahead on how many appointments they have and they're lacking in the amount of transactions they should have out of it. Just say, hey, let's like take a quick break on appointment flow. And you've got a great backlog to work through and find some deals out of there and, redistribute appropriately. So that way you're not like digging somebody further into a hole of lack of transactions from the amount of appointments they get. So it makes it a lot easier for us to like basically pause people, and Darren, our sales leader, has done such a great job leading in that fashion. We generate traditionally like 90 to 95% of the business that we do, like the team does for the agents.
Okay. And I want to get into that because I heard you talk about an in-house sales team. So I want to hear about that as well, but keep going.
Yeah. So with that, it's, like conversions are very important to us because we're the ones spending money on those leads. And so we prioritize that appointment flow to the people that convert the highest. And if they drop below certain thresholds, Darren's been so great at leading the team with just pausing them, not as punishment, but just as like, hey, you're probably getting a little overwhelmed. Like I've been there before. It's not fun. There's high expectations and let's just have you like work your pipeline. It'll be less stressful. There's deals in there that you can find with people you already know. and redistribute. So he's actually out in maternity leave. And so I've like filled in for him, having one-on-ones, and it's great. I'm getting messages from people like, hey, I'm going to pause myself because I don't want to fall behind in, the expectation.
Isn't that a great feeling when, because now, they get it, they have clarity and they're on board. Like they understand. Right. And
it took a while to get there.
It takes a while, but man, when they get there, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have an ISA team in-house. So before we talk about how the leads are handled, where do you get your leads from? Like what type of lead sources do you use? What are those the things that you guys provide?
We're in Zillow Flex. We've been in Zillow Flex for about a year, coming up on 2 years, I think in like June, July.
Okay.
And so we get a ton of business from Zillow Flex and super grateful for it. And it's an awesome channel for us. And they give us, we convert really well. So they give us a ton of opportunity. And so we've actually cut back on a lot of our other lead sources just so we can maintain a high level of conversion and a high level of, serving our clients. So we've done pay-per-click is a very successful channel for us for a very long time. And then obviously our database is a very successful channel for us. And, outside of that, on the listing side, we do radio, we do a lot of direct mail, the traditional for sale by owners, expireds, for rent by owner,
right?
All that stuff. And that's primarily our main channels of business.
Okay. So question, I had just this past week, we had a workshop here and we had like 2 or 3 people who were heavy into Zillow and Zillow Flex. So, so I loved learning more and chatting with them about it. When you get those Zillow leads, right, that come in. And so just for everybody out there who doesn't understand, what is a Zillow? Like if I'm a real estate agent and I have a Zillow Flex lead coming in, what does that look like to me? Am I getting an email about something? Is it a direct phone call? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, if you have ever gotten a Zillow lead, let's say in the last year or so, and you're buying them currently, those are the same leads that we get. We just get them on a referral fee basis. So we're not paying per lead. We're paying 25 to 35% per opportunity. Their call center nurtures and works those leads until they're at the point where they want to speak to a realtor, or generally they want to go see a home.
Okay.
And so at that point, their call center is doing a live connection and a live transfer to us. So they call us, we pick up the phone, and that salesperson on the Zillow side transitions that conversation over to us.
Okay.
And that's how that fundamentals works. Of that. Yeah, that's how that works.
Perfect. So then my next question is how, when that Zillow concierge person, right, is nurturing that lead and that somebody say, hey, there's a call to action, somebody wants something, and they send that over to you guys. Do they send that over to an ISA on your team, or are they sending that directly to an agent?
They prefer them to go directly to agents just for the sake of like customer experience and so on. We actually do have them go to our inside sales team also. So I think we're a little unique in that regard.
Okay.
And we have very high conversions and also very high customer satisfaction scores. And so if it wasn't for that, if we were lacking somewhere, they would probably, suggest that we change from sending them to the ISA team. However, it works. We grade all the phone calls and the ISAs crush it. We have like one of the best scores for those recorded calls in Flex, and our conversions work really well. So, and our customer satisfaction score is high. They're
not going to send them to you unless you close them. And if you close them, they'll keep sending, right? Because obviously they want that referral commission. So that's right. Okay. That's awesome. So how many leads, because you have 20 agents, right? And you're setting them up with these appointments and things like that. How many leads a month are you receiving then that come into your ISA or the agents from the Zillow Flex program?
We're currently getting our allotment right now is about 182 over the next 30 days.
Okay. So 182. So we're with 6 a day ish.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay. So you're receiving about 6 leads a day. And then what is your conversion ratio? Do you know that conversion ratio from leads that you guys are receiving from Zillow, not the ones that have been nurtured and have a call to action?
Yeah, we do. Our average on our team, and we look at it from two different ways. Zillow looks at it from like connection to closed, and then we also look at it from like appointment to close. But connection to close, we are around 8.5%. And from appointment to close, we're generally around 12 to 15%. Our average right now is 12 on the team. We have team members that are, anywhere. We have some that are below that are working into our pipeline. Then we have some that are seasoned that are anywhere from like 14 to 22.
Okay. And then, so those are great. So when you get those in, have you looked at what your, like the cost per lead then is, basically based off of the commission you have to send out and what your ROI is with the Zillow Flex program?
Yeah. It pans out to about the same as if I was paying for them.
Okay.
Like, so based on, because I can see the market rate in the zip codes in my area of how much they sell for.
Right.
And I know what our conversions are. So it's really simple to find out, for me to get, if I were to buy these leads, for me to get one deal, it's the referral fee is about the same.
Okay. And what is that referral fee in your market? Because what is your average price point?
The referral fee varies based on price point from like 25% to 35%.
Oh, okay. So is it inverse? So the higher the price point, the lower the referral fee, or does it go up based on the price point?
No, the lower the price point, the referral fee actually goes down.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So they want the agent I think it's to be just motivated.
Yeah, exactly. If the check gets like too skinny.
Gotcha. Right. That's like
lack of motivation.
And they don't want, and you don't want those conversions to go down, because then that's, you don't want them to stop from sending you the $600,000 price point either. Right. And
that's right.
So,
yeah.
Love it. Okay, cool. And so how many so you have an in-house sales team. How many in-house sales agents do you have?
We have 4 in the States. And then we also have a team in the Philippines. There's about 10 people in the Philippines that are also doing a lot of prospecting and working older stuff in our database, in addition to circle prospecting to generate nurtures for the call center here to set. And so we do get, I think I failed to mention that, we do get a lot of great seller appointments out of that too.
Okay. So you have 10 ISAs that are virtual, right? That are out of the country, that are doing a lot of circle prospecting, trying to just find anybody who's willing to have another phone call, right? Raise their hand, whatever. And then you send those over to your in-house team, which is 4. Yeah. They follow up, ask a little bit more in-depth questions, have maybe a little bit more complex conversation. And then, now does your ISA team place these into your CRM and then start to nurture them and then wait till there's a hand raised, or do they send them off to an agent even in the nurture phase?
They're supposed to nurture them until they're within 3 months of wanting to list their home. Okay.
Perfect. And then, go ahead.
And there's some instances where they make judgment calls where the person might be further out.
Okay.
But they get the feeling maybe that the agent maybe there's a reason that the agent can move up that person's time frame, by educating them on the market or whatever it happens to be, or sometimes we can, depending on the person, and their situation, if they're talking to other realtors and such, like we'd rather go out there and like lock up that listing agreement, even if they're not going to list for 9 months, and then that way there's a commitment to both sides, even though they might not transact right away.
That is one. Well, that takes a talented ISA. So that's awesome. That speaks to the level of training that you guys are giving your ISAs. Number 2, I love the coming later, right? Everybody always talks about the coming soon. Hey, I'm going to go get that signed. We're going to go live in a couple of weeks. I love the coming later, where we just have all of these listing agreements that are signed for the next 12 months. Yes. Right. And people are like, oh, I didn't meet with them because they're not ready to do anything for another, 12 months. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Everybody gets met with.
Or even worse, I met with them, but I didn't sign them because they're not ready for it. I'm like, you just spent the time to go meet with them. Like, what
exactly, right? Oh my gosh.
Listing agreement. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So then my next question is, because I'm trying to think like the person who's listening, right? And so my next question is, oh my God, you have amazing for these 4 ISAs that sound awesome. What do you pay your ISAs currently? Like a range?
They currently get paid a base of $30,000 a year, and then anywhere between 5 to 7% of gross commission. And
is that gross commission off of leads that they nurtured and passed on, or of the total? Like you just split it out? Do they have to have touched the lead to receive the commission?
For them to get the commission, they have to set the appointment. They have to be responsible for that appointment meeting one of our agents.
Okay, so you don't pay per appointment; you pay for appointment that closes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So that's awesome. Okay. And then how has turnover been when it comes to ISAs?
I think we're lucky to not have a lot of churn in the ISA department. And because I think it can be a very high turnover role. And I think that in a lot of industries it is. And within real estate, I think it is.
Right.
And so, but yeah, we've had a pretty stable. We do have people come and go, maybe for performance issues, or they don't like what they're doing anymore, or they move into a different role. Maybe they became an agent on the team.
Yep.
But yeah, we've had a lot of stability there.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people will have the conversation when talking about ISAs. Oh my gosh, ISAs, by the time they get really good, then they want those commission checks, right? And they want to become an agent. And I'm like, yeah, that's horrible having an agent who's good at prospecting. That'd be the worst, right? I'm like, this is amazing. I want a whole team that used to be ISAs. But no, I love this. This is really good. Okay. So I've kind of hammered you on a bunch of like the numbers and that kind of stuff. But what I would love to hear about is I saw in your bio that you were on HGTV's House Hunters. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure that you didn't just show 3 houses and they chose one, right? But I would love it if you could give us a little bit of behind the scenes look of what that was like, right? Like what happened that we didn't get to see on the 30-minute show?
So we look at 3 houses, and it literally takes an entire day from like sun up to sundown to film one house.
Wait, so it takes like an entire morning till evening to the entire day. One showing?
One house. Yep.
Okay.
We're doing that showing over and over and over 3-4 times. And, then we're taking breaks, and then, the producer comes over and is talking to me and is like, hey, don't you think that, what if you were to say this to like Heather and Adam, right? Do you think that'd get them riled up? I'm like, probably, but do I want to be doing that? I don't know. Because they want to create drama, and they want to create, the stuff that people watch the show for, watch like reality TV for. And so it's funny because they try to instigate, some different things and like quarrels and, whatever. But yeah, so it's good. It's fun. It's a lot of filming. It's like literally 3 full days, sun up to sundown, for like 22 minutes of a show.
Oh my God. Okay. And so so the clients, were they assigned to you, or are these real clients that you have?
They were real clients, and they had hit me up, and they're like, hey Dave, they're like, we love House Hunters. We went on the website and we applied to be on the show. And we were like in the midst of looking for homes. Right. And they're like, do you mind if we put you down on there? I was like, no, of course not. This would be great. And so coincidentally, I had Pytown Productions is the production, or at the time at least was the production company that was responsible for it. And I had actually auditioned for a reality TV show that they wanted to have in Charleston, maybe like 3 months prior. They pitched it to the network, and the network decided to not do it. Okay. So it just so happened that like the person at Pytown Productions that I had been talking to for that called me and said, hey, I just saw your name come up with, your clients, and we'd love to, come and do this. Are you available like tomorrow? So they literally like flew people out the next day. Okay. And, but one of the requirements is that we actually have a home like under contract, because there has to be that, like, they bought something, right? So to put it in perspective,
just so I get this clear. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So we already have, we're in the transaction. We have a home under a contract. They know what they're buying. So then I had to schedule 2 more homes to go show them.
And spend an entire day at
2 days at, 1 day at each one. And then again, like, then we have to go view the home that they're actually buying as if they had never seen it before. So the reality is that, there's like 2 dummy homes set up, and they're already under contract with this other home. And so the 2 dummy homes, are they even for sale, or are they just houses that are like, I mean, they can't be for sale because there's no way they'd let you in for an entire day. No, they were for sale. And this was when homes would sit on the market for a while. So I had to call. I had to call, and there were a lot of homeowners that didn't want their home to be on TV. Right. And they were worried. They're like, gosh, it might make my home look bad if the public sees that Adam and Coos like chose a different one and not mine. And so there was these objections, and then we found a couple that were totally okay with it. And, but yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And in this one part of the show, we're walking around the master bedroom and there's this red button above the nightstand. And I was like, Adam, what do you think that button does? He's like, I don't know. I was like, why don't you go over there and push it and see what happens? So he goes over and it's like, this alarm starts going off. There's like lights start flashing in the house. And it is like the most like loud siren that you could ever imagine. We're like, oh, like we just thought it wouldn't work. This one was like built in 1960.
It's a panic button.
Yeah, it is a panic button. We could not find out how to turn this thing off. You know, like, right. So now the guy with the camera is like, oh, this is the best ever. We're running around, you know, trying to figure out how to turn this off. And he's following us around. I'm outside calling the listing agent, you know, like doing one of these. And he's like filming through the window as I'm trying to like find out. So finally we like found the circuit breakers and cut off the breakers and it turned off. Right. But after the dust settled, the whole production team was like, this is going to be so good.
Oh my God. That's really funny. That's awesome. So like, when did your show air?
Oh gosh, this was back in 2015 or 2016.
Okay. So yeah. You could have a house on the market for a while then.
Back then, if you sold a house in 90 days, you'd get calls from people like, how'd you sell it so quick? That's
right.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. The nice thing is you could get all those leads though from your houses while they were on market. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's awesome. Dave, I really appreciate you spending the time. That was awesome. I think you've built a monster, right? And people are like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So I think it's really beneficial for them just to hear the structure, right? One thing we probably didn't get into enough was the behind the scenes of, man, how did you hire? Because you mentioned some really key people, right? Like these ISAs and the sales manager. And we know how important it is to be able to have talented people, to be able to trust everything and help it grow. Exactly. So, so maybe we'll have to have you on again and we can dive into how did you find these people and how did you teach and train them and keep them in your world and all that kind of stuff. So, but I really appreciate it, Dave. If somebody wants to get a hold of you because they just want to get in touch, they want to mastermind, they want to network, they want to lean on you, ask you some questions, how would somebody get a hold of you?
Yeah, 843-795-7950, or you can email me at dave@davefriedmanteam.com.
Perfect. I love it. And then if anybody ever has any questions, wants to reach out to us, wants contact information for any of the guests, you can always reach out to us at growwithers.com. And then always, please, everybody, if you like this podcast, if you want to hear more people like Dave, tell their stories about, how they find panic buttons and listings, is always make sure and give us a 5-star review on, Apple, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. We love it, guys, and we really appreciate it. And thank you again for listening to the Team Building Podcast.